Hey guys, I'm DC and welcome to the Soap Sanctuary where all soap lovers are welcome. Today's video, guys, we're looking into the top 5 most daring storylines in daytime. Now, before we get started with this video, I wanted to give a quick shout out to this other soap channel that I found. It's called Rad Rock Productions. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm gonna put the link to their channel below in the description. This is unlike any channel I've ever seen. They do like these little reviews on past storylines of like One Life to Live and other soaps and other characters. I just love their channel. I love channels that do something different. This channel, Rad Rock Productions. I also had a problem with my R's, guys. So check that channel. I'm gonna put their link in the description box below of this video. But let's get right into this video, guys. Coming in at number 5 for the most daring storylines of daytime is Jonathan and Tammy on Guiding Light. Now, this couple, what made them so daring was the fact that they were cousins. And normally on a soap, when two people are in love, they're related, we usually see a history rewrite to where they're not related anymore. But the writers on Guiding Light decide, nope, we're gonna keep them as cousins. So coming in at number 5 as part of our top 5 most daring storylines of daytime is Jonathan and Tammy, the kissing cousins on Guiding Light. Take a look.
I'm old enough to be with someone. It's my choice.
Tammy, I would support almost any man who wanted to be with you, as long as he was kind to you and he was someone who deserved you.
And JB's not that person?
No.
Why not?
Because he's not.
Why?
Because.
Why, Mom?
Because he's your cousin, Tammy.
You chose Dinah.
I only went to Dinah because I couldn't have you.
Now, Jonathan and Tammy could not fight their feelings for one another. And eventually, the audience came to accept these two as a couple. I gotta give it to the writers at GL. I mean, most times this will be kind of icky, but most times as an audience, I feel like, as I call them, affectionately call them jammy, Jonathan and Tammy. Eventually, the audience began to accept these two as a couple. I mean, you got to see them struggle with their feelings for one another, and then them just really be drawn to one another, and then they eventually got married. They never had a child because I think the viewers knew that would have been I think the writers knew that would have been a little bit too much if they had done that. So, you know, I can see why they didn't go that route, but it was a storyline we accepted, hey, and it was very daring. Guiding Light was a very conservative, one of the conservative soaps on the air, if you ask me personally. And a lot of people say the same thing. So they were pretty PG in how they did things. So that was kind of daring for them as a show and as a Procter & Gamble soap. So that was pretty daring for them as it was. Now, moving in next on this list is we have number 4 here as part of our top 5 most daring storylines in daytime. Is this storyline, what made the storyline daring was that it covered, I don't want to say domestic violence, because domestic really means in the house, but technically it is domestic violence. So it covered domestic violence, relationship abuse with Christina and Kiefer on General Hospital. Take a look, guys.
So stupid! I mean, I thought you canceled because you were mad at me.
Why would I be mad at you?
How should I know? I bet you and Ethan had a good laugh at me, right?
It wasn't like that. I'm sorry.
My first party with guys from Harvard, and I show up like an idiot because you're off chasing Ethan in a dress I paid for!
No, you're hurting me!
That storyline was so graphic, but it needed to be for it to be impactful like that. I didn't like how Ethan Lovett, which was Luke's son, got blamed, and then it started this thing. I really didn't like that. But I get that was part of the story. I wish it would have gone a different direction, because that really started to piss me off, because Sonny was ready to shoot him and take him out, which I get it. That was his daughter, but I just didn't like that route they went with that. But it was good story. It was good soap. That storyline right there, honestly, like, it made us care about Christina as a character, because I feel like now in soaps, you just being the child of a legacy character is not enough. You, as viewers, we have to be able to want to care about you. Like, what makes us care about you as a viewer? And, you know, for me, that storyline, watching it was a lot. But I mean, I feel like it really resonated with a lot of people watching that storyline. Coming in at number 3, this storyline, sometimes I feel like this storyline I should have given the number 1 spot, because it was very daring for a daytime soap opera. And what made this storyline so daring was, you know, we're talking about someone who has multiple personalities, but the reason as to why she had multiple personalities, I was like, whoa. And like I said before, daytime television would never do a storyline like this ever again. I wish they would, but I feel like society nowadays is too squeamy for stuff like this, even though stuff like this is happening in real life, and probably on some level still is. Not the DID part, but the reason why Vicky had DID. So coming at number 3, as part of my top 5 most daring storylines on a soap opera, is Vicky Lord Buchanan Davidson with her DID storyline on One Life to Live. Check out this amazing clip. Go ahead.
Like the truth. And it's better than living a lie, which is what Gene wants you to do, Vicky. Now come on. It's time you knew the truth about your father. No, Tori. No, Tori. Don't tell her. Mother's pet not to tell. Princess, I'm not afraid. Oh, God, that's not true. I'm so afraid I'm scared to death. But I'm more afraid of not knowing. Please, Tori, tell me. You already know it, Vicky. You've just never been able to face it. He raped you. Your father raped you. He had sex with you for years.
Yo, you could feel the chills in that clip. She's like, you knew it your whole life, Vicky. You've just never been able to face it. Your father had sex with you for years. I was like, bruh, like, I've watched these clips through YouTube, and this storyline was so chilling. I was like, whoa, like, this was on daytime television? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is chilling stuff. I mean, Erica Slezak on One Life to Live, her character as Vicky has never, to me, ever been boring or ever been in the back, where they've always managed to find good material for her, where they've kept her character's reputation intact, but also giving her character different things to do. That wasn't maybe the typical soap trope, as you can say, like an evil twin or something. So like they did with Erica and All My Children, where she had the doppelganger. It literally was Vicky doing all these things, but of course we've been able to excuse it because she had the DID. That storyline was so chilling. Oh my God. Speaking of that, there was a time when Laura on General Hospital murdered Rick Weber. And the initial reasons to why it was that Laura was going to murder him was because he had was trying to molest her, or whether it was as a child or as an adult. It was something along those lines. And from what I know, this is speculation, Gene Francis said, we're not doing this storyline. We're not going to do that at all. Which I could understand why, because there was a certain point in time where she got tired of being written as the victim on General Hospital, and so she got tired of that overall. But those kind of storylines were so... It was very daring, just given the subject content of it. Like, you develop multiple personalities because your father has not only molested you, but raped you and had sex with you for years. That was daring. That was very daring for its time. I don't think we would ever see a storyline like that on today's soaps, because I feel like soaps are trying to mimic primetime, which is weird because when soaps first came on, well, when primetime first came out, which is after soaps, primetime is trying to mimic daytime. Now daytime is trying to mimic primetime. So it's like the parent forgetting they're the parent. So now they're letting the kid raise them, you know what I mean? So what are you gonna do? But that storyline was... This is the type of stuff that I always say about One Life to Live, where is that just because the show didn't have a viewer base doesn't mean it wasn't good. Because I didn't see storylines like this on The Young and the Restless. Unless there was, correct me, but I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Y'all know how I feel about The Young and the Restless. They've been number one for too long. They've been so comfortable. Their storylines are so blah. And at first I thought it was because they had a foreign audience, but I've watched foreign soaps. I watched the South African soap, Scheme Som. I watched the British soap, EastEnders. They're a lot more daring than The Young and the Restless is right now, this riding for the past few years. So I'm like, I guess it's just the writing. I don't know. Coming in at number 2, this storyline was considered one of the most daring storylines in daytime, literally back in 1991 or 2, I think it was. Don't, correct me if I'm wrong. And obviously the storyline was so amazing, they just recently revisited the storyline of Days of Our Lives. This storyline to me is like the stuff that keeps people on the edge of their seat when it comes to soaps, which you have to do that. So coming in at number 2 is Marlena's Possession on Days of Our Lives. Take a look.
I feel so weak and helpless. You fools. This will do you no more good than your bothersome prayers and your irksome.
Even the storyline now is just, it's something different. Soaps need to have stuff like that that's separate from the typical soap tropes that we keep seeing. They've done a great job of revisiting the storyline. What was great is that they did this supernatural storyline. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is such a great little fantasy storyline. What's interesting is when I watch South African soaps, this type of stuff is not considered fantasy for them. It's considered real life and a way of life. Because they talk to their ancestors, all that other stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And of course, that shows you how different the culture is. Where we see this on TV, we're like, oh my God, this is such fantasy. Oh my God, I'm loving it. Whereas South Africans, that's just a way of life for them. So, and that's why I would say South African soaps are a little more daring than Y&R, because just certain things they got going on. But anyways, that storyline was really good for its time. It involved a lot of the power players on Canvas: Stefano, Kristen, Tony, John. I'm trying to think who else. I think it's Celeste. So, and even now, it's literally including the whole entire Canvas. You got Trip. You know, he was just put in the coma by Jan Spears. You know, Belle, Sean. Who else? I feel like I'm very good. Johnny. Almost everybody on Canvas, which is the powerful and amazing writing of Ron Carpellotti, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give that man his flowers while he's still here. Him and Frank Valentino. Let's give those two men their flowers, all right? They're doing the Lord's work. They are doing the Lord's work. Okay, coming in at number 1, this was one of the most daring soaps on television. They received that title by, I don't know if it was People's Magazine or something, back in 2004, when one of their characters was supposedly pregnant with her half-brother's baby. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But this storyline came in when the show was on its peak, and of course they're getting canceled that year. And this storyline was epic. Coming in at number 1 for the top 5 most daring storylines on soap operas is The Blackmailer on Passions. Take a look.
The confession of a serial killer. We've all suffered, but he's not done yet.
Oh my God.
Passions
That was epic because The Blackmailer was literally targeting everybody in Harmony. Vincent was considered to be a hermaphrodite or intersex, which is where you have both male and female parts biologically, like meaning you were literally born that way when you come out the womb. So he was Vincent and Valerie at the same time. He was a crane. He was sleeping with Chad, Chad was biologically his uncle. It was just, and Whitney is his sister because Eve was his mom, so he's sleeping with his sister's husband on top of that. It was, yeah. That soap kept me on the edge of our seat. That was a daring storyline. See, Passions, I felt like it maybe would have survived better in a climate like now, but then I also wonder, could it have really? Because a lot of the storylines that Passions did back in that day would have been subjected to cancel culture. Just that storyline alone, The Blackmailer, being that Vincent was both a man and a woman at the same time, I already see how that was going to be problematic. And I don't say that offensively, obviously, but I could already see how that storyline today would be problematic. Now, the rest of the storylines of Passions, yes, I think it could work. And I think it would, I really do think that soap was ahead of its time. But I do think that that particular storyline, as daring as that was only able to work back then. And I think they were only able to get away with it back then. I think if they did that storyline now, everybody and their mama would have their foot on their neck. When I said on their neck, I mean the producers, the writers, the editors, the passions, everyone's foot would be on their necks at this point. Because I don't see them getting away with a storyline like that in 2021. I just don't. It's a good storyline though, if you ask me. It's a good storyline. I just don't see them getting away with it in 2021. I don't. Now guys, that is my video, the top 5 most daring storylines in soap operas. If I missed any storylines that you guys want to let me know, please let me know in the comments. Include in the comments, let me know. I could have forgotten some, but those are the top 5 most daring ones that I can think of. You know, honorable mention is Will Horton's death on Days of Our Lives, and he was strangled by Ben. That was a very daring moment, but I feel like the context of that, a character getting killed, is not necessarily daring on a soap, but the way that it was written and produced on Days, that was a lot. That took me as a viewer, like, where I had to take a step back, like, whoa, like, did that really just happen on a soap? Because you remember, you're seeing how Ben is strangling him, and his eyes are getting, like, you can see, you're seeing what Will is seeing as he's getting strangled, and his eyes are getting snuffed out. Like, he's getting snuffed out in the moment. It was a lot, but that was good writing. It was dark, very dark, but it was good writing. Anyways, guys, that has been my top 5 most daring storylines in daytime. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. This has been Soap Sanctuary. I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been Soap Sanctuary.